better jump off though too. Actually, my son was asking me a question when you called.
Uh-huh.
I stopped to talk to you, and then you and I have been on the phone for 25 minutes, and he's now walked away. So I feel like,
Aw.
okay, I could have. Not only did I not answer him, but interact with him, but I keep finding reasons. You know what that is? I mean, you probably feel the same way as a dad. Things will distract you, and then you always have to get dad points every day. You know, at least I feel that way, and I'm like, well, I don't want to miss opportunities. I'm more like trying to scoop up opportunities.
Right.
You know, if the opportunity shows itself, that's why I set myself around with them. Because I'm like, I don't want to miss anything. I waited 40 years to see these guys. I'm finally here. I'm like, I keep missing the opportunities.
Gotcha. Well, go see.
But I hope you and Cassie gets interested. If you want to do some kind of group thing at some point where you actually play as a character with her, I could DM something if you guys wanted to. We could run something really simple or just an encounter. But yeah, if she's not interested at all, it'll just backfire.
Right.
You know, and sour it for her. I'd rather she be really interested in.
Right. I think the trick is getting one of her friends interested. But I'm going to keep plugging away.
You're
because
probably right.
All right, I'll keep plugging away and try to get her interested because it's a great game to play. Just like what I was explaining earlier. Just by playing the game, you develop new skills. Just in general, it gets your creative juices flowing. And as an artist, I think she'd be really, really good at it.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's something that it's an amazing game. It depends on who you're playing it with. If you're someone, you have to see it through that light, though, through that lens. If you have that lens that allows you to see what kind of game it really is, like what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
If it's played that way, it can be played very mechanically, just a hack and slash. You know, let me see let's roll. We're die rolling. We're just rolling to see who can roll higher. You know, then it's garbage, and maybe some people like that. But if you could really play with the right person like yourself, it could be really enjoyable. It can be really kind of get the creative mind going. You know, and maybe you should just try and do that with her if she ever seems open to it. Say, hey, look, we can do it right now. I'm sitting at the table. Go ahead, we'll start talking. Because there's sometimes we'll do that. You can see it like play an imagination game. Like
Right.
Not an example like, oh, let's do the tavern scene. You know, okay, you're in a tavern and you see a stranger with a hood covering his face, and he wears a strange holy symbol, and you can get a look at it. Yeah. You can kind of go on that, but it's nice. It's kind of cool to do the things that get their mind going, like stuff they're really interested in. Like yesterday, where I was talking about Find Familiar with a friend who's a wizard, and then going into the details of Find Familiar, and I describe what he's experiencing as he casts it as an hour-long spell, and I get more into the detail. But he loves that, like what happens, and then he contacts the celestial plane, and you can feel he connects with one of the creatures there. You know, like you really, instead of it just making, you just cast it and it appears. You know, like, and then and the whole process of him, the creature appears, and then God bless you, understanding his, God bless you, God, sounds decent. The process of connecting with its mind, because we communicate telepathically, and you experience with that, and you can see through its eyes, and kind of describing what that experience was for the first time, and that kind of stuff. I think if you're a good storyteller or you get into that, I think that really makes it enjoyable. At least it did for him. I can tell you, his mind was really firing. Like, whoa,
Yeah, whenever I play with people, I don't know if you remember this adventure. There's one called I don't know if it's Encounter at Blizzard Pass or if it's just called Blizzard Pass. It was one of those old D&D books where it's like you could play it by yourself. It had one of those markers where like it was almost like a choose your own adventure thing, and you would use the yellow marker to highlight the text so you could read it when you went down certain paths. Whenever I start a game, like get somebody interested in D&D, I always go back to that module because it's a pretty straightforward dungeon crawl, and you can like always throw all kinds of different flavors into it. That's like my go-to when I'm trying to get somebody to start playing D&D for the first time, is to run them through Blizzard Pass.
That'd be cool. Well, if you ever do it again and you want to try, I'll play. Even if we just do like a session or two, or do a one-shot. So, I gotta grab this. This is an important client.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you, Chris.
Bye-bye. So anyway, this is part 3 of the drive home on Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. that was a carryover phone call from my viewer. I called him in part 2, and the conversation carried over to part 3. Surprisingly, our conversation devolved back down to D&D again. I think I'd mentioned in other videos that I was into D&D. I have a huge collection of D&D books and modules and dice. I don't know where all my figures are. I think I lost them. I might have a couple left, but very few miniatures. For some reason, I was on a phone call. And I was like, I'm much later in the trip. Like, usually I'll be able to get a video number 4 out on the drive home, like a shorter one, but I don't even know if I'm going to make it to the 22-minute mark on this one, because I'm getting dangerously close to the point where I have to not film anymore. Not dangerously close, like probably like a good 5 minutes. Pardon me, good 5 minutes away. I wasn't talking about anything before that because I started the video with us already on the phone, so there's no incomplete thought from this episode. But anyway, that's my subscriber. Pretty cool dude. And he's friends with that character from The Matrix, so that's pretty cool. Start talking about ducks again. So I did ask the question, do you get both feeds? We still don't know the answer. It's crazy, I tells you. Is today Tuesday? I guess I don't have to stop anywhere on the way home. I am pretty sure that, like, filled the last couple of moments with more D&D stuff. So I had a group of people. I'm sure I told this story, but I got a couple of minutes to fill. So my wife, I played D&D long before I met my wife, but my wife and her friend Diana wanted to hang out, and they couldn't really think of anything. So the reason I ran that epic Chronos adventure that I made, it was literally a year and a half. We met like every weekend, except we might have missed a couple of when me and my wife went on vacation. And the group would get so mad. They would be so mad when me and my wife went on vacation because like we would skip a gaming session. And some of these sessions like literally lasted from Friday night till Sunday. We would just game nonstop every weekend, just plowing away at this adventure. And it wasn't like there was an end. It came to an end. We didn't just stop playing. The adventure literally came to an end. There was an end point to it. But the reason we were playing was we were looking for a way for my wife and Diana to hang out, and that ended up being it. I started D&D. I started DMing a campaign, which ended up being this epic campaign. There was like the number of players that were involved would grow and shrink. The core players were me and my wife, her friend Diana, my friend Diana, her husband, don't know if they were married at the time, but her husband Ron, Amy, and then there was a bunch of various people that would come in and out. There was, give you their handles, there was Toyer, Truckee, Romeo, I actually don't know his real name. I just know his character's name was Romeo. I believe that was Amy's boyfriend for a while. Toyer was a friend of mine, Scott. He played for a while. Utron, I don't remember what his real name was. He was a friend of Scott's, I believe. So at any time there was usually there was me, and then at least 4 other players. Carlos. So yeah, there was usually 6 players, but it could go up to 9. Usually wasn't less than 5. There was like always 5 of us there. And like I said, this adventure ran essentially for a year and a half straight. Just one adventure. There was adventures within it, but there was one contiguous storyline with a beginning and an end. And that's it. And we all went our separate ways. Like we all live in different states now. Me and my wife live in this state. Diana and her husband broke up. Her and her new husband live in North Carolina. Amy lives in Virginia, I think. Carlos, I think, is in Pennsylvania somewhere. Maybe Jersey. All the other guys, I have no idea where they blew off to. But it's not like we're never going to be able to get the gang back together and play. It's just the logistics are too difficult. And I've tried playing the online. It isn't the same feel. Like I like that. I like that being in the room with people. I like the DM screen. I like the paper, the pencils, the dice rolling in person. Like there's that aesthetic. There's that whole being there together. Like it's not the same thing when you've got someone on Skype and then you're loading up a map on the screen and you're moving parts. It just almost feels like a crappy video game rather than playing D&D. There you go. I'm going to end this now because I am where I am. Have a wonderful day.